Well, thanks for having us. And right now, we're actually doing 25,000 per day. We've made tremendous progress since we first launched the test, which was March 9th, so not that long ago. And we're still working on some improvements. We can expand our capacity even beyond that 25,000. And we believe by the end of this week, we'll be close to 30,000 tests per day. So let's say about 200,000 per week.
And how quickly, if someone gets tested, do you get them the results? And why do some people have to wait 2 to 3 days and others get their results within hours?
Yeah, so as we brought up these tests, we brought it up first on March 9th. We brought it up in one facility, which was our laboratory-developed test. That first facility is actually in California. And a couple of days after that, first laboratory was brought up. We moved it out to Virginia, and now we have close to a dozen facilities with our testing capacity. So what you saw in some of those longer turnaround times is if an individual got a test, and we had to run that test out to California initially, it took a longer time to get the result than it would today.
Steve, I know you're not, of course, the only company out there that's massively ramping up its capability for testing, but I also know that you're in touch with some of your peers. How long do you think it will be before the US has an abundant testing capacity?
Well, you look at what I just said, we're getting close to 30,000 tests per day. We're one of a number of large clinical laboratories, commercial laboratories in this country. And so you can think about us being a significant part, but not the entire part. And then also you have a number of regional facilities, you have hospital facilities, and still federal and state facilities. So I think, by the end of this week, we're going to have a significantly more testing capacity in this country than we had only a week or so ago.
Steve, this is Meg Terrell. We are hearing from people who are lauding the commercial testing industry for coming on board as quickly as you have after we saw those initial snafus, with the government set up testing. But one thing we're hearing now that seems really disturbing is that there isn't enough supplies to run the tests in many places. Can you tell us about what you're hearing about this and what really is holding up being able to process some of the tests?
Yeah, so we could have testing capacity, as I just said, but we have to have the specimens collected. And so what we've been working on is to make sure those supplies, those swabs that you actually use to collect the specimen is in the right location. Actually, over the course of the last several days, we have shipped out thousands of these tests. In the course of the last week and a half, we've shipped out 500,000 swab specimen collection kits to different organizations. These could be hospitals, they could be physicians, but also we put these in the hands of these drive-through centers you're seeing as well. So that is critical to make sure those specimen collection kits are in the hands of those people that are actually going to do the collections.
So is it just the swabs that are in shortage, or is it also the chemical reagents? What are the pressure points that you're seeing right now, and how do we get that fixed?
Yeah, so we're keeping up. The reagents that are coming to us with some of our suppliers are keeping up with our capacity right now, so we feel good about that. We feel we can get to that level that I talked about, 30,000 tests per day, and keep it running, given the projections that we have from our suppliers to do that.
So, Steve, I talked to my friend who's an ER doctor in California, and they're only testing people who they're admitting into the hospital. Who should be tested at this point?
Well, right now, there's new guidelines that came out from HSS, and basically, there's a prioritization of who should get tested. We want to focus first on patients that are in beds. We also want to focus on symptomatic healthcare workers, and then also symptomatic individuals that are at risk. Those should be the top priority. So actually launching tomorrow a capability that we can identify those patients that are in beds. That will be very helpful to have those hospitals find out quickly whether that patient that's in the bed that they suspect that has coronavirus is actually a negative or positive. So that will be rolled out tomorrow by us.
Steve, it's good to hear that those sorts of things are the priorities, but is there a secondary market trading, as it were, for these tests to get tested, where perhaps money or access can get you tested before others? Are you aware of that taking place at all?
Right now, we are prioritizing on what I just said. It's the patients, the healthcare workers, it's the symptomatic patients. And by and large, those are the individuals that are getting the specimens collected by these centers. And that's where we see the primary volume coming from.
Steve, are you working on any tests for immunity, which it seems to me would be helpful if we were talking about an economy trying to get back to work?
Yes, we're actually working on the ability for us to see the antibodies through a blood test, a serology test. And that's very important for us to take the next step. So we have our team of scientists looking on that as we speak.
Wow.
When can we expect some word on when that would be available?
Hard to predict. We've seen some recent papers that have been published. We're collaborating on this throughout the industry. And, we're hopeful, but we can't predict how long it will take for us to get a test to the marketplace.